Close your eyes for a moment and picture a quiet room. A lamp throws a warm circle of light across a wooden desk. On that desk sits a single sheet of paper, a pencil, and a heart that wants something more than comfort. It wants a clear, burning aim. That image is where our journey begins, because the book we're walking through today has always started with one simple, almost rebellious idea. Everything that comes into our life begins first as a desire inside us. Imagine a man pacing at night, rehearsing the exact sum he wants, the precise date by which he will have it, and the plan he will follow. He writes his pledge on paper, folds it, and reads it aloud each morning and night until the words weave themselves into his thinking. This isn't magical thinking, it's a discipline of clarity. The first great lesson we meet is to be specific about what you want, to fix a figure, a deadline, and most importantly, to know what you're willing to give in return. Desire, the author tells us, is the starting point of all achievement. Not a wish, not a hope, but a pulsating, well-defined objective backed by persistence and action. From that hot ember of desire, the next flame is faith. Picture faith not as blind hope, but as a practice, a muscle you exercise through affirmation and repetition. When you talk to yourself daily with conviction, you begin to plant beliefs deep enough in the mind that behavior follows. Think of a gardener who talks to his seedlings in the rain. The words don't feed the plants, but his actions, watering, choosing the right soil, protecting from frost, make growth inevitable. In the same way, faith combined with repeated suggestion becomes the soil in which your desires germinate. The essential action here is to feed your mind purposive, positive messages until your subconscious accepts them as true. Now imagine being able to speak directly to that subconscious mind. Picture it as a faithful servant, not particularly bright on its own, but powerful and obedient when given precise orders. The technique that gives those orders is autosuggestion, the deliberate, rhythmic feeding of your mind with the ideas you choose. You say the plan, you visualize the sum, you speak it as if it's already happening. Over time, the subconscious begins to align your habits, decisions, and impulses toward that reality. The practical rhythm becomes simple. Craft a clear statement of your desire, read it with feeling twice a day, and allow the subconscious to rework your choices. But talk without tools is like a ship without sails. That's why specialized knowledge enters the picture. Picture a cobbler who dreams of building a great shoe company. He will not only need passion, but he must seek know-how, the stitching techniques, materials, distribution channels. There are two kinds of knowledge, general and specialized. The crucial step is to convert knowledge into organized plans and to use others' expertise where necessary. Seek what you need, but know that knowledge alone won't make you rich. It is the applied knowledge, organized and directed toward a clear aim, that matters. Now allow your mind to wander into the workshop of imagination. Imagine a room where raw ideas are clay, and your imagination is the potter's wheel. Hill distinguishes between two forms: synthetic imagination, which recombines known ideas in new ways, and creative imagination, which taps into something beyond ordinary thought to generate original insights. The inventor who sees an unseen way to combine existing parts to solve a problem is exercising synthetic imagination. The person who receives an entirely new idea that seems to come from nowhere is touching creative imagination. Either way, imagination is the workshop where plans are born and change the world. As plans form, they must be organized. Think of how a small band of people with different skills can accomplish what one person cannot. Here the concept of a mastermind enters, a friendly alliance of minds working toward a common goal. Picture a round table where one person brings accounting sense, another brings connections, a third brings product knowledge. The mastermind is not just a meeting, it creates a shared energy, a field of combined intelligence and support that lifts each participant. When your plan is still rough, align yourself with people whose skills complement yours. Be humble in asking, and generous in contributing. The mastermind becomes a force multiplier. Yet plans without action are fragile. This is where decision plays its decisive role. Picture two roads, one broad and crowded with excuses, the other narrow and solitary, the path of decision. The habit of making prompt, firm decisions separates those who dream from those who do. Think of business leaders who move quickly and then adjust course. They avoid the paralysis that comes from overthinking. So practice making choices and sticking to them. Decide, act, and learn fast from what doesn't work. But there will be resistance. Think of a wide river called doubt and procrastination, and imagine persistence as a bridge. Persistence is the continued effort that transforms failure into progress. The story of many great successes is a story of individuals who kept going after their first, second, or 100th failure. Thomas Edison, who famously tested thousands of filaments before finding one that worked, is the image Hill uses again and again to show us that persistence is not stubbornness. It is the conscious refusal to be defeated by temporary setbacks. The practical step is to cultivate persistence by changing your habits. Read your aim daily, renew your faith, and maintain your plan even when momentum slows. We then come to an unlikely ally, the emotion and energy often reserved for lovers, sexual energy. Picture it as a powerful current that, when channeled creatively, becomes a source of drive, charisma, and creative power. Hill suggests that highly driven people often transmute sexual energy into creative and productive use. The magnetism and intensity that propel them farther than mere intellect or technique. This is not a prescription for avoidance of intimacy, but an invitation to direct your strongest energies into your work and your creations. Underneath all these practices is the great hidden operator, the subconscious mind. If the conscious mind is the captain, then the subconscious is the crew doing the heavy lifting in silence. It records everything, the repeated words, the images you feed it, the emotions you attach, and then it works quietly to make those patterns real. Picture it as a faithful instrument that cannot reason but will dutifully carry out the orders it believes you've given. The method, then, is consistency of input. Feed it positive, specific goals, and it will align behavior to help reach them. As those forces work together, Hill introduces a more metaphysical idea, the brain as a receiving station, a kind of radio capable of picking up vibrations from other minds and from a larger intelligence. Think of moments of sudden insight you didn't expect. Sometimes an answer seems to arrive in the quiet early morning or during a long walk. Hill calls this the sixth sense, a sort of intuition that becomes clearer when all the other faculties are tuned and harmonized. To foster it, create the conditions, clear desires, organized plans, a daily practice of reflection, and the discipline to listen in silence. There is another quiet, powerful truth that threads through: fear. Imagine shadows that creep into the corners of your mind. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, and the fear of death. Hill calls these the 6 basic fears that sabotage thought and action. They whisper reasons to delay, to play small, to conform. The antidote is not denial but recognition and replacement. Replace fear with faith, face criticism with steady purpose, and prepare for setbacks with planning. The practical habit is to consciously name your fears and then articulate a plan small enough to begin dismantling them one step at a time. Through all of this, Hill peppers the narrative with examples that show the methods in practice. Think of a young entrepreneur who insists on becoming a partner to a great inventor. He refuses to accept the lesser role that others expect and quietly works until he is recognized as an equal. Imagine a woman who, after reading her daily statement of purpose, begins to behave differently. She speaks with more confidence, takes on tasks she would have avoided, and in a year's time finds herself in a new position she would not have reached otherwise. These are not magic tricks. They are the slow, accumulative results of focused thinking and consistent action. If you're wondering where to start, picture yourself at that desk again. First, make the desire specific. Write the exact amount you want and why you want it. Second, state the date by which you will attain it and what you will give in return. Third, create a practical plan and begin immediately, even if it seems imperfect. Fourth, read your statement aloud with conviction morning and night. Fifth, gather a small group of trusted people to form a mastermind. Sixth, continue to seek specialized knowledge and apply it. Seventh, practice persistence and cultivate faith through autosuggestion. Eighth, protect your mind from fear by naming it and replacing it with concrete action. Along the way, Hill insists on humility and service. The ultimate aim of wealth in his view is not mere accumulation, but creation. of value, of employment, of better lives. The richest fortunes he recounts often began with someone seeing a problem and having the courage to offer a solution. When you orient desire towards solving a problem that helps others, the energy that drives you becomes sustainable and less likely to burn out. As we close this journey, imagine a round tableau, desire at the center, faith and autosuggestion encircling it, specialized knowledge and imagination bending like pillars, persistence forming the steady base, and the mastermind as the roof that shelters and amplifies the structure. The subconscious hums below, the sixth sense flickers like a lantern above. Remove any single element and the house becomes vulnerable. Put them together and the improbable becomes possible. So what remains for you to do now as you open your eyes? Carry away this strange but practical invitation. Decide exactly what you want, write it down, read it aloud with feeling, assemble helpers, learn what you must learn, imagine boldly, act without delay, and refuse to surrender to fear. Let the habits of affirmation and purposeful action steer your days. Start small, a clear statement on a single sheet of paper, and then live in a way that honors that statement. The book's promise is not of instant riches, but of a method, a trained mind, a focused plan, and a life lived with relentless intention can change the shape of your world. If you listen to nothing else, imagine one more scene, a future version of you, calm and satisfied, standing in a room that you built with your choices. You can hear the faint echo of the daily words you once read, like footsteps that led you home. That image is the conclusion and the beginning all at once, because every great achievement starts where we stood when we were brave enough to name it. Now, carry this story forward. Let it be the quiet ritual that prepares you for action. Think about it. Wealth, in Hill's telling, is not simply money. It is the outward measure of inner mastery. If you walk away with one conviction, let it be this, that the greatest resource you will ever have is the clarity of your desire and the courage of your persistence.